It's Friday. I just got done playing in the snow. Friday I don't even know what the date is. 18th? Yeah, Friday, February 18th. And today's happy hour day. It's always good. Happy hour is a great time. I enjoy that. So today's Friday. Lost track of days, the snow, and kids had a snow day from school. So I don't even know what time it is, where I'm at, what I'm doing. It was about, I think, 3 degrees it got down to this morning. I was out pushing the snow around when it was dark, and it was a little chilly. Good thing it wasn't really windy. That's kind of the big thing. And I'm gonna enjoy a cigar. Haven't had one since the Super Bowl. This is kind of a cheap cigar. It's by Drew Estate, but it's their kind of their house cigars. What do they call it? I don't even know what it's called. It comes in a package, and you can get like 20 of them or something. Fairly affordable, not high end, but still pretty decent. This is the Maduro. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in Canada. The last video that I made was, I think, a few days ago, Tuesday maybe, and maybe it was Monday, I can't remember. But I had talked about what's to come. I had talked about if you've got money in the bank, that's what you need to do right there. Go check them out. Get some good products. Short the banks. So I had said you better get your money out of the bank. You better take possession of what you own, your wealth, your energy. Get it out of institutions, custodians. They're going to do what they want. And you see this finance minister, this lady up there, snickering about it, how they froze accounts this week. And they're tracking down Bitcoin and cryptocurrency accounts, where the money came from to donate to these truckers, and they're trying to freeze those, which, good luck. The only way they can freeze those accounts, just so you know, is if they're on an exchange. So if you've got your money sitting on Coinbase or Gemini or any other exchange, not that they're going to go along with it, but they probably will because they're regulated, the government will come in and say, hey, these coins were used for illicit activity. You need to freeze this person's account. And most companies are just going to do it. So that's the danger of letting somebody hold your money. I preach it and preach it. It's a casino. When you go into a casino, you go to Las Vegas or Atlantic City or anywhere else, you don't play with dollars. You take your dollars, you exchange it for poker chips, the house chips, casino chips. It's theirs. And so, it does a few things, but one is you can't leave there with those chips. They don't have no value except in that ecosystem instead of inside that closed area. So what good is it if you're not playing inside that casino? You walk outside, you take those chips with you. You can't spend them anywhere. So you have to convert those at the window where they've got the bars, the cashier. You have to go and essentially hope that they give you the money, and some manager doesn't come out and take you down to a basement room or a back room, because you never know. So when you're playing in that house, just like if you're playing in Canada and you're using the Canadian currency that the government issues, you're playing inside their casino. And at any point they can say, guess what? We're not going to redeem those chips. They're ours. They're not yours. Just because you made a bad choice and stored up your energy in a bad form of money, that's not our fault. That's your fault. You should have known better. That's the same thing they're going to say about the things that you've been sticking in your arm. Now you're seeing the backpedaling, and it's going to be, well, it was volunteer all along. We never forced you to do it. There's no requirement to do it. It was just a mandate, a strong suggestion. And they're not going to take the blame for any of this stuff as the fallout of this experimental drug starts to happen. They're going to put it back on you. And see, ultimately, it always comes back on you. They can always blame you because, well, you voluntarily made the choice. You voluntarily played in the system. You walked into the casino, even though you didn't know any better, and the educational system conditions you that, this is the only way. Ultimately, it resides with you making a decision. So at some point you wake up and you say, all right, I'm going to make a choice. Well, what choice do I have to make? Prior to 2008, really 2009, you didn't have much of a choice. You could get gold, you could get silver, you could get other precious metals. But, it's cumbersome in a lot of ways. You got to lug that stuff around. Now, granted, that's, at the end of the day, that's probably the most, maybe secure form of money. It's arguable. But it's been around forever, and it's something you can hold in your hand and in your possession, and it can just disappear. Cryptocurrency can be the same way, though. It can just disappear. You write down your seed phrase, you deposit money to a wallet, and you delete that wallet, and that seed phrase gets destroyed. It's gone, right? Or if you've got the seed phrase, you memorize it in your mind, walk out of the country, restore it somewhere else. It's that simple. It's a lot harder to walk around with gold and silver and carry that around. But ultimately, it comes down to you make a choice. You decide that the system's corrupt, that it's not benefiting you, it has no desire that you succeed, and it's only going to work against you. So if you don't follow the mandates, even though it's not required and it's volunteer, if you don't follow them, then they'll say, guess what? You can't walk in our casino anymore, and our casino happens to be a giant country in North America. So that's where you're stuck. So it's just very important at this time to not be scared, because, I can see a lot of people being scared. I can see a lot of people right now who are just waking up saying, oh my gosh, what is going on? We're going to have war in Ukraine. The World War IV, 3, whatever you want to call it. 3 arguably has already been going on, but we're going to have another major war. And I look at it as, I've seen this for a long time, and I see that there is always a reason to carry these things out. And it's usually not the reason they're giving you. It's an agenda. So I don't believe any of it. I don't believe any of the propaganda. Anything I see on the network news, I just watch it because it's a good barometer of what not to do. When they tell you something, I assume it's not true. Because there's been so much money created that is funded, let's just say, operations, Mockingbird. And if you look into that, it's everybody's bought and paid for. Everybody you see who has, quote, risen to the top and who is in your face and who is projecting the message to you, they're all bought and paid for. And that's really, I've come to that conclusion because there's enough money to do that. And, if you don't play ball, you don't play by the rules, we'll get somebody else. We're going to get somebody up there that's going to read the teleprompter and, the propaganda that we give them. So just assume that everything you hear is completely false, and it's usually the opposite is true. And I found that to be true. So in this situation where you've got Canada that is trying to take your money, can't take what they don't have access to. So if you don't have cash in the bank and you're not using those systems, at least very minimally, whatever you have to, but if there's nothing to take, what are they going to do? Put you in a different level. Put you in, I've mentioned this before, the movie The Gambler. Well, there's a scene in there where Mark Wahlberg, he's basically a degenerate gambler. He can't, all he does is lose, and you can't stop. And he goes to John Goodman, who's this guy, sitting in the bar, and kind of, quasi mafia guy, but he's really not. And he wants to get money from him. He wants to take a loan. And John Goodman has this great speech where he talks about FU money. He doesn't use the word FU, he uses the other word, or the letters FU. And it's a good speech because it's like you've got to free yourself and you've got to have FU money to where someone comes knocking at the door, you're like, F you. You can do what you want. You have that ability to not participate. And that's where I think we all need to be. We need to look at what puts us in that situation to where we're not dependent on government. Because if you're not dependent upon government, you're not dependent upon that money coming in every month, you're not dependent upon them doing something for you. And it's easier said than done, but you just have to work toward that. But if you're not dependent upon them, then they can't use that money as a weapon against you. And that's what they do. And that's what the United States is doing with Ukraine. Hey, we're going to put economic sanctions on you. Well, if I'm independent and I've got my own source of money that I can trade with other people for goods and services, then I don't care about your money. And I'm not going to use your money. So there, I've got resources. I've got oil. I've got natural gas. I'll take Bitcoin and gold for it. So that's kind of the situation we're in. And I think if we all start, sorry for smoking you up, I think we all start thinking that way, we're going to be okay. So don't feed those vampires, take your money out of that system, get out of that casino and move on. And it gives you a lot more peace and comfort. That's what I felt. So somebody had a question about what happens what do I do, when I want to, and I'm not going to be a financial advisor on any of this. They asked about stable coins, which one's the best stable coin? And a stable coin is just something it's a cryptocurrency that's tied to the dollar, the value of a dollar. So one USDC, for instance, is worth $1. One USDT tether is worth $1. UST is another one. Now that's a little bit different because that's kind of tied to Terra Luna, another cryptocurrency, and that's something worth looking into if you haven't, as far as a stable coin. I don't necessarily know that they say, well, it's tied to the dollar in some way, or it's backed by dollar assets. But, and there's Binance.USD, BUSD. There's other stable coins, and people think, well, shoot, if cryptocurrency really runs up, I've got all this Bitcoin, and, I don't want to lose that purchasing power. Do I, because it could crash, these markets are volatile, it's $40,000 Bitcoin, that's 100,000, then it's back to 50, and it's, so you've got to, first and foremost, make a list of what you want. Do you want something to push snow? You need a tractor? Do you need a car to get back and forth to places? Do you need a place to live? Check those boxes, put a list on there so you can check those boxes when cryptocurrency gets to that point where you can use that as an economic tool. You can use that as a weapon of freedom. And it may be that you put it in a stable coin and you say, all right, I'm going to put it in this until I decide what to do with it. And then the price of crypto may continue to go up. It usually does when you sell it. But it's a way that didn't used to be around, to where you could peg it to the dollar, which over time you're going to lose, and you're better off holding crypto if you have a long term. But, if you're at a point where it's like, okay, I'm ready to do something with this, then a stable coin, might be a way to go, to tie that to the purchasing power of the dollar at the time. I'm not going to recommend any of them. I just, I throw some of them out there, and you got to kind of do your own research on those, because a lot of them are based on the Ethereum blockchain. And if you're, a problem with not so good cigar, doesn't stay lit. I don't have the lighter. Sorry. But a not so good thing about that is it's on the Ethereum blockchain, and those fees can get really expensive just for a single transaction. So if you're trying to cash out, say, $1,000 in crypto to a stable coin, and it's on the Ethereum blockchain, sometimes the fees just to do that can be $100 or more. So if you got $1,000 you want to cash out and put it in a stable coin, it may cost you 10% of that just to get it into the stable coin, because of the fees that Ethereum has. That's just because the blocks are full, and you're waiting in line and you're paying more money to get on the train, I guess. So that's something to look at. Cheaper ones are Binance USD, Tron USD. If you trust, you got to trust these things though, because they're running on different blockchains. People trust Ethereum because it's been running for a long time. There's been talk of Litecoin getting a stable coin on it. That would be interesting because the fees are so low. Or Digibyte, that's even kind of been mentioned too. That'd be amazing to have it on Digibyte because the fees are just nothing. And the blocks are 15 seconds, really fast. That would be interesting to see that. A decentralized blockchain having a stable coin on it. That'd be the way to go. So I'd like to see something like that. That would be nice. But you just got to look around and you look at the fee structures, and some are more expensive than others, and some have been around longer than others. So kind of got to do your own research on that stuff. Today, I just found out that the state of Illinois, where I'm at, yep, and it's out. So that's what happens when you get the low dollar cigars. So the state of Illinois, the governor of Illinois, back in the beginning of this pandemic, had come out and said, hey, we got mandates. We're going to have, everybody's got to be masked. And it even came down to public places. And early on, people did kind of follow it, and corporations and businesses did follow it. But this year, and really last year, middle of last year on, when they kind of started locking things down again, I noticed more and more people just stopped wearing them. They stopped wearing the masks, and they just, they did what they wanted, even though the sign's on the window in the door. And so, that kind of fell apart, even though he's trying to hang on, and he's now backing down on it, the governor is. Now, there's still a mandate for schools, for kids, to wear masks in the public schools in Illinois. And many of the schools got together and said, no, this is unconstitutional, and took it to court, and a federal judge said, nope, you don't have the, or a state judge, you don't have the right to mandate this in schools. And so this was in the last 2 weeks, and so many of the schools said, oh, it's optional now. Fine, you know, we're not going to listen to this mandate that the governor's given. And he fought it, and fought it to an appeal, to appeal that decision, because he wanted kids to wear masks in schools. I mean, you think about that, do the research on it. They're not effective, and there's no policy on what masks to wear that would work and not work. And imagine wearing a K95 mask all day, trying to breathe. Kind of crazy. So anyway, the appellate court said, no, this is the whole thing is just ridiculous, and threw it out. So at this point, the governor has no legs to stand on. It's completely, the courts have decided that, you know, what we knew all along, that he had no right to do that, no authority, no power to do that. And the only reason he was allowed to do that is because everybody participated. All the school districts participated, the boards participated. The people didn't participate. In most cases, most of the people said no, but those elected officials went along with it because they were scared. And why were they scared? Because they didn't want to lose their funding from the state. And that was the threat. The governor said, well, you know, you might lose your accreditation. So you get your diploma, it doesn't mean anything. You might lose your funding if you don't follow this mandate. And that was the threat. And so a lot of the school districts said, well, what are we supposed to do? You know, much of the money comes from the state. So it's something to think about. So that's over now. The courts have ruled, as they should, on behalf of the people, because their rights were being violated. And this whole process, it comes down to, are you going to follow rules by someone who just decides to mandate something? Or are you going to think for yourself and really just do the right thing? You should have the right to make a choice. And you did have a right to make a choice, but it had to get through the courts to actually reaffirm that, even though we all knew what our rights were. So I guess the thing is, don't ever give up. Always keep fighting. Always keep pushing. Always keep driving for that which is right. And ultimately, we the people will decide. And it's good that the courts are doing what they're supposed to do, because at some point the people will decide what to do and what not to do. And it's better that it's resolved in a more diplomatic and peaceful manner. So that's a good thing. Unfortunately, it's gone on so long, it's kind of ridiculous, and they'll probably try it again, but I think it's wearing thin. I think a lot of the narratives are wearing thin now. And to go back to losing funding as a school, one more reason just not to play that game. Figure out how to fund it yourself, and to fund it at strictly the local level, and have those discussions, you know, with school board members. Hey, what would it take to completely break free from the state? Even though, you know, we're paying taxes, you know, there's an income tax in Illinois, and, you know, that's supposed to be going and funding it, you know, so they're bleeding us that way, and we're not getting anything good back for it. But what would it take to make that happen? You know, how much of the funding comes from the state and the federal government? Is it possible just to fund it locally, which we're doing already with property taxes? So it would be a good thing to be able to take control of that, and then you're not worried about the money. You know, and that's the whole problem. They use that money against us. And that's why it's so important, so very important, to have a different form of money, not the casino chips that they provide you. And cryptocurrency is definitely that answer. And you can choose Bitcoin, you can choose Litecoin, you can choose Digibyte. There are other mined coins. You know, there's Bitcoin Cash people like. There's, you know, there's a lot of other ones, let's just say. And Dogecoin even is mined, even though it has, you know, not a fixed supply, it's unlimited. But again, it's protected by the mining network, which it's dual mined with Litecoin. I won't go into that. But it's better than the US dollar. It's better than the fiat currency that they're creating, because at least you can take possession of it and they can't shut it off. And so I guess that's the thing. A lot of people will say it's Bitcoin only. That's the only thing. That's the soundest digital money out there. And it's like, okay, that's fine. You can make that argument. I think Litecoin is the best form of money, digital money out there, because you can actually do something with it. It works. It's cheap. It doesn't cost you a bunch of money to send it. And it's a finite supply too. It's a network that's never gone down in over 10 years. So you've got to use the tools that are out there and the weapons that are out there. And, you know, just because one's a handgun and one's a shotgun and one's a rifle, and I mean, they all have different purposes, you know, and one's a hatchet and, you know, one's a sword. I mean, pick which one you want to use. That's all it comes down to. Some are better than others given a situation, but it's not, you know, don't knock somebody because they want to use that weapon over that weapon. I mean, we're all in the same battle here. It's not you against me, it's us against them. I mean, it's that casino. It's those vampires. So do your research on that stuff and choose what resonates with you. But the key is knowing that there's a problem and knowing that what they're giving us is bad and it's not helping us. You know, you just got to have that realization and then find solutions. Find those weapons on the battlefield. Fight it. All right. I hope you all have a wonderful Friday. If you gained anything from this, you know, share it with somebody. And I appreciate you watching. As always, I appreciate you giving your energy to this and taking the time to watch this. It's time is valuable, very valuable. And giving it up for something it's important in watching this. So always trust yourself. That's the key. Always trust yourself. All right, I hope you have a wonderful Friday. I hope you tune in to Happy Hour today at 4 p.m. Central Time on Litecoin Lisa's YouTube channel. Just go look up Litecoin Lisa, and you will find her, and then we'll be live. I'll be inside the bar here. A lot warmer with some spirits warming me up, and that'll be much better. But 4 p.m. Central Time, I hope you can all tune in. I'd love to see you. Put something in the comments. And yeah, I like it. I like the interaction. It's great. And I love all of you for watching. Very important. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know, that way it'll pop up every time a video comes out that I make. And I just really appreciate that. All right. I love you all. Hope you have a wonderful Friday.